Hello and happy May, happy Bealtaine or Bealtaine or May Day or whatever you call this Sabbath if you celebrate. If not, happy brand new month of May. It has been a while since I have done a regular YouTube video and I'm trying to get back into it, I guess. Okay, so the members only video that I'm doing usually has a life update section here at the beginning, but that is going to be the entire subject of my next video. So I'm not going to cover a lot of life update stuff in this May members video. Instead, I have a whole bunch of news to talk about, and then we're going to do our divination reading for the month of May. I don't have any community questions, so if you remember from my last members video, I am doing a community Q&A session or section here in these members only videos, but I have to have questions to answer. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer in June's video, leave them in the comments below, send me an email, do what you gotta do. Without getting too rambly in this video, because the last one ended up being cut short because I had to leave, we can just jump into the news. So grab a cup of coffee or some tea or your drink of choice, and let's just get into it. The first piece of news I have is that a Clark County business has been accused of witchcraft. And this is happening in Kentucky, I believe it is. So Clark County in Kentucky. What happened is the store has been open for a while, and it wasn't until the town's Center for Tourism shared an event that the business was doing that people started complaining. And I guess the main complaint was that a government entity should not be promoting a business or other entity that is tied to religion. But the shop owner is adamant that the store isn't religious. The store is called the Crystal Coven Mystic Cottage. It says that the store owner's name is Shannon Tipton, and she is quoted as saying, "I have a multitude of stones, crystals, jewelry, incense, herbs, spices, and teas. All of the stones have uses." She says, "They were trying to say I was a religion. I'm not a religion. I'm a business. I'm a metaphysical shop." I can kind of understand how residents might be on the fence or even upset that a government entity is promoting a business that has to do with religion, regardless of what the religion is. However, if the tourism department is going to share events that are taking place at a church, then they should be more than welcome to share events that are taking place at a metaphysical store. Now, I know the business owner said that she's not a religion and she doesn't practice witchcraft and she's not affiliated with witchcraft. However, the business name contains the word coven, which is directly tied to witchcraft and people who practice witchcraft in groups. So, I mean, that's kind of mixed messaging there. And so they are fighting back against it. Someone said, "We're not asking her to change. We're just simply saying that we just felt like for tourist attractions and things this was, we didn't feel this was necessarily the way we wanted our community to be perceived. So she can do what she wants. They just don't want people to know about it." Of course, there are many other comments like, "We believe in the good Lord. If he wants us to bless the community and bless what we're doing, we have to do things that bring blessings to us." And I guess promoting a store that sells crystals and herbs and stuff isn't in the name of the good Lord. There isn't much else at the end of it. They are trying to figure out what to do. The store has an attorney that is representing her, and yeah, I don't think that a government entity should be promoting any business that is associated with a religion or has a religious affiliation, and if they're going to do so, they need to do so for everyone. In other news, people are still speculating whether or not Taylor Swift is a witch. I mean, I don't think this is ever going to stop. And long story short, it really speaks to how the general public feels about strong, powerful women that have an influence over a large number of people. In Michigan, The Satanic Temple gave the invocation before the Ottawa County Board meeting. You know, people weren't happy about it, but what can you do? I think that while the Satanic Temple has its pros and cons, they are not affiliated with Satanism in a religious context. It is more Satanism with Satan and Lucifer as symbols, because most of the people that are part of the Satanic Temple are actually atheists. Yeah. And of course, people weren't happy about it, but he didn't say anything bad. And what really gets me is in the article, let's see, I'll read you this part of it so I don't butcher it. It says, at least one commissioner was not happy about it. Quote, I and other commissioners voted against Joe Moss's changes to the board rules last January. We knew changing the tradition from commissioner invite only to a simple sign-up sheet was ill-conceived. He was referring to a policy Ottawa County Commission Board Chair Joe Moss announced that allows anyone to sign up and give the opening prayer at the board meetings. So, I mean, he's basically saying the quiet part out loud. We don't want you to come speak unless we invite you, because we only want people who are like us to talk, rather than opening it up to their constituents who are diverse. They just wanted to keep everything exactly the same and not actually represent the interests of their constituents. So that happened at that happened in Michigan with the Satanic Temple. And then in happier news, the Pagan Federation, a UK-based charity, was officially granted charity status by the government. Now, I don't know how it works in England and the UK when something like a business is a charity. Here in the United States, you do a 501c3 and you become a not-for-profit, and you are legally recognized as a charity foundation. In the UK, it sounds like you have to do all of this work first, and then the government might decide to recognize you as a legal charity. I'm not sure how that works, but it's great because now the Pagan Federation can apply for grants. They can get like tax breaks and different things like that, so they can help more people. On April 12th, a psychiatrist named Dr. Bennett Braun passed away. Now, normally this wouldn't be important or of note, but this doctor is responsible for a lot of the panic that happened in the 80s and 90s in regards to the satanic panic. Now, I'm getting this from Wild Hunt, and it says, while not widely recognized, Braun left a significant mark on American culture while specifically damaging the pagan community. The New York Times characterizes him as, quote, a Chicago psychiatrist whose diagnoses of repressed memories involving horrific abuse by devil worshippers helped to fuel what became known as the Satanic Panic of the 80s and 90s. So someone who is partly responsible for the Satanic Panic has died. And I say good riddance, because not only was he responsible for fueling the Satanic Panic, his assertions and his evidence and his diagnoses of repressed memories involving satanic rituals and sacrifice and all of that stuff were 100% false. So not only was he a terrible person, he was a terrible doctor. And in Salem, Massachusetts, a man was arrested for a pipe bomb attack on a satanic temple because God told him to. He says that God ordered him to bomb the Satanic Temple because they're bad. Let's see, I've got two more news things here, and then one of my own. The BBC wrote an article that talks about queer people and how queer people are more likely to be part of minority religions, including paganism. And I have to say that in my experience, that has been mostly true. I have found that most minority religions, or just speaking about paganism in general, most pagan people and pagan religions and traditions and all of that stuff are very inclusive. No matter your sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, it literally doesn't matter to most people. So I'm not surprised. And then lastly, something that I didn't even know was going on, In Nevada, a man in jail for life for murder in the 90s has won an 18-year-long battle with the court system to use natural anointing oils as part of his Wiccan faith. Now, regardless of what I believe about what he's in jail for, because I didn't look too far into it, I think that everyone deserves the right to practice their religion, and this man made the case that it's very important for his practice that he has his anointing oils to perform his purifications and his blessings before Sabbats, before he does any sort of worship. And it took 18 years for them to say, okay, you can use natural oils. It was legal for him to use any sort of synthetic oils, but the natural oil part is important to him. Registration is still open for Pagan Spirit Gathering, the summer solstice celebration held by Circle Sanctuary in June. If you're local to Maine, the Maine Pagan Clergy Association is holding their annual professional and leadership conference also in June. And then my last bit of news is that my book, Whispers of the Soul, is finally out. It took me 4 years. I started writing it in 2020, and I finally published it because I'm just like, I just need to do it. I had gone back and forth. It was a book, and then I turned it into a course when I had a membership on my website, and then that went up in flames when Memberful decided that they were no longer going to offer a free option for memberships. So then I finally decided to just push it forward and publish it. And it is now available in paperback and ebook format. It's also in Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, then you can read it as part of your Kindle Unlimited subscription. I'm not going to do a flip through here because that's going to be in my next video, but I will leave the link in the description if you are interested in checking it out. I believe the paperback copy is $14.99 and the Kindle copy is $4.99. And then obviously if you have Kindle Unlimited, you don't have to pay for it. It's part of your subscription. But yeah, Whispers of the Soul, Unveiling Light Through Shadow Work. It is finally finished. And that's all I have for news this week, or news this month. If you want to read any of the articles that I talked about, all of the links will be in the description, and we can move on to our monthly reading. This month I'm going to use my Oracle deck, my Spirits and Shadows Oracle deck, and we will see what we get. So I'm going to shuffle 3 times. I'm going to pull a card for the monthly theme, something we need to watch out for, and something that we need to keep in mind. Last one. Ooh, that went weird. All right, so our monthly theme is going to be the Hunter. So the Hunter is about knowing what you want and doing what you can to get to that thing. So for the month of May, we need to spend time thinking about what it is we want out of life, or out of a relationship, or out of our career, or literally anything, and figure out what steps you need to take to get to that thing. The Hunter is instinctual, so try not to think about it too much. Just put your intuition into action. Follow your instincts. So the Hunter is our theme. We need to, that's interesting, we need to watch out for an awakening. Not quite sure how to take that. Watch out for an awakening. So pay attention to synchronicities. Pay attention to intuitive messages. If you work with gods, pay attention to what they're saying. I don't feel like this is something that is bad. Usually, watch out for this is be careful. I think this is something that if we're not careful, we might miss the messages that we're getting. So pay attention to your spiritual team. And lastly, things to keep in mind. Summer. Where is your warmth? Where do you find your happiness and your joy and your relaxation. That's what summer is about. And it's funny because here the weather is warming up, the sun is out, the birds are singing. It's not quite summer, it's still very much spring. But follow your heart and find your warmth. So keep that in mind for the month of May. Now, as for the astrological forecast, I don't have a lot of brain space to study astrology right now like I was before. So I just have some simple things to mention. Mercury went direct on April 25th, and we don't have to worry about another Mercury retrograde until August. So that's good. Mercury retrograde caused a lot of havoc for me and from some of my friends. I'm always happy when Mercury goes direct. Then we also, let's see, we have a new moon in Taurus coming up on May 8th. The sun enters Gemini on May 20th, and the full moon in Sagittarius is on May 23rd. And obviously today, when this video is coming out, it is Bealtaine May Day, and it is a day of celebration. We are officially entering the light half of the year, and we are leaving the darkness behind us. As I said before, for the Q&A section, I don't have any questions. So if you do have a question you want me to answer or something you want me to talk about for next month's video, leave it in the comments below. Send me an email, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Email is probably the best way to contact me. It's hello@roundthecauldron.com. And then lastly, I wrote a little section called New Things Coming, and the first thing was my book, but I already talked about that. And then I have 3 other books that I have for review purposes. Actually I have 4 books for review purposes. One of them is digital and I'm currently reading it. It is Jasmine Ambrosia's book, Ambrosia's Book of Witch Flight, which is a personal gnosis view on witch flight and all of the spirits that Ambrosia encounters in the other world. And it's pretty interesting so far. Witch flight is something that is kind of out of my scope of practice because I have not been able to accomplish it yet, but that's okay. The other 3, I have a Pagan Book of Prayer. This book was given to me by someone in the Spells 8 forum, and it's been on my wish list for a while, so I finally got it, and I'm gonna give it a read through and probably post a review of it on my blog. I may talk about it in a video, I may not, I'm not sure. It depends on what I have to say, I guess. The second book that I got is from Moon Book Publishing, The Irish Pagan Book of Rites, Rituals and Prayers for Daily Life and Festivals by John Michael McLaughlin. This one is interesting to me, obviously, because I am an Irish-focused Celtic pagan. So this one will definitely get a review on the blog. And then the third one, I was sent this book by the publisher, Women of Tarot by Kat Willett. It is an illustrated version, or an illustrated guide through all of the women who have had a hand in divination and tarot, Lenormand, and anyone of note, including Rachel Pollack and, oh my gosh, why can't I remember her? Pamela Coleman Smith. That's who I was trying to remember. So I'm excited to dig into those when I get a chance. And that's all I have for the month of May. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I will be back here with a new members only video in June. Stick around for my life update video, and I will see you next time. Bye.